All right, everyone. All right, we are live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, so let's get started. What I want to do first is go ahead and if you can do me a favor, and then go ahead and I'm going to put this chat bar up here. What I want you to do is share with me where you're calling from. All right, and let me know. I have Javier from. Looks like I have Javier from Tampa, right? Trying to get the chat to work. There we go. All right. I have Janine, California. All right. Who else do I have there? Gary, I have Ramar, Philadelphia, Lakeland, Georgia. All right. Andrea, Mel, John from Virginia. I have Henry. I have Ata, Hua, Chris, Larry, Victor, Daryl, Paul, Christian, Richard. We have a great group. We're well represented all the way from the East Coast to the West Coast. Ola from Virginia. All right. Fernando. All right. Jamal from Chicago. Michael, Maryland. All right. So looks like we have a good crowd here today. All right. So I'm excited. And as you guys know, today is all about learning how to scale your multifamily. We're going to start from a single family and we're going to scale all the way up. But before I get started, what I want to do is share with you one thing, right? And that is, many of you look at me today and you say, Peter, this was easy for you, right? And you've been doing commercial real estate for years. You wrote the book, you teach the stuff, but I want to take you back to my beginning. This is my beginning. So when I first started, I was not fearless, right? I was not. I wasn't walking around with a lot of confidence. I had doubts. I had fear. I even had sleepless nights. I did, right? And I had three big fears that almost stopped me before I even got started, right? The first fear was this. The first fear was, what if I make a mistake? Okay. And some of you may know my story. Many, many years ago, when I was a young guy, I got divorced and I had a son and we had a custody battle. And amazingly, thank you, God, I won custody of my son, right? And then, but if I were to mess up, I could lose him. And my ex-wife said, you will never see him again. I tell you what, that's motivation to not mess up and to have a good life, right? For myself and my son. So I could not make a mistake and risk all that. All right. So when I went to real estate, I had to make sure I didn't want to make a mistake. So that almost stopped me. Okay. The second fear I had was I was wondering, am I starting too late? I remember thinking maybe I should have started this years ago. Maybe all the good deals are gone. Maybe other people are way too far ahead of me, right? So that fear is heavy because it makes you feel that you missed the window. It really does, right? The third fear was probably the biggest one. And that one was, where do I get the money to start? Okay. I know some of you out here I can see probably have the same fear. And as you know, I probably like you, I didn't have unlimited capital sitting around. I didn't have a rich uncle that could write me a check, right? I didn't have everything figured out, right? Hardly anything figured out. But I had a choice to make though, right? I could let these three fears, right, be my excuse, or I can let these three fears be my assignment. And that's what I chose. I chose to have these three fears be my assignment. So instead of asking, what if I made a mistake? I started asking, who could teach me this business? Okay. That was me right there. I was after this knowledge. And then instead of saying, am I starting too late? I would ask, if I started today, where could I be 5 years from now, 3 years from now, 10 years from now, right? And then instead of saying, where do I get the money, right? I started learning that in commercial real estate, the deal is often more important than the money, okay? And if you find the right deal, you structure it correctly, and you know how to present it, money can be attracted, right? So that was a turning point for me at that point. So I realized fear does not mean you are not called to do something. Fears sometimes is just standing there at the doorway, blocking your next level. That was for me, right? But here's why I'm sharing this tonight. Some of you on this Zoom call tonight have those same fears. You're afraid to make a mistake. You're thinking it's too late for you. You're asking, where am I getting the money, Peter? Right? And I understand because I was there too. But I want you to know this, right? You do not need to have everything figured out on your own. You don't. You just need the right education, the right strategy, and the right people uh, around you. So tonight, I'm going to show you how to begin moving forward with those fears in the room. Okay, because the goal is not to be fearless. Okay, that's not the goal. The goal is to stop letting fear drive your decisions. Okay. Everybody understand that? So that's how I want to set the tone tonight. Everybody ready to go? All right, put something in the chat for me. Adjust my camera. All right. All right, great. All right. Okay, Javier said, heck yeah. All right, let's go, Javier. All right. So what I want to do here is I'm going to show you my screen here. 1 second. All right. Where am I? Here we go. All right. Okay. There we go. All right. Thanks for your patience. We are live. All right. So when you go live, you have these types of things with you that you have to do here. All right. Michael, how's my screen looking?
Looks good.
All right. Okay, great. All right, everyone. So this is Tuesdays with me. We're live, episode 24. Today is May 26th. And would you know what I looked up and our YouTube channel has 73 million views. That's incredible. So thank you. Thank you so much. I never would have known and figured we would have that many. So thank you so much. So what I'd like to do here is I'm going to introduce to you today this incredible guy. His name is Jordan. Okay. And he started from a $430,000 single family rental. He held on it for a couple of years and then he scaled from that single family to a 22 unit. That's going to be a 28 unit. Behind it is he's going to create an RV park. From there, he bought an 8 unit and he scaled to a 28 unit. So we're talking 60 units and $9 million worth of property in about 3 to 4 years. So that is, we're going to share with you what to do and how Jordan did it. And if Jordan did it, you can do it. All right. So I'm going to start with a quick poll. All right. Let me bring up the poll here. All right. Here is the first poll. All right, here we go. I'm gonna launch this poll here. And the poll says this, where are you right now in real estate, right? I like to know. These polls really help me set the stage for what we do for the rest of the 50 minutes, right? Where are you right now? You're brand new, just getting started. Do you own a home but no rentals yet? Do you own 1 to 2 properties? Do you own 3 to 4 rentals? Or you already own multifamily? All right, so what's leading the way is brand new, just getting started. Secondly, I own my home, but no rentals yet. And third is I own 1 to 2 rental properties. Okay, great, great. All right, thank you for that. I have a second poll I want to run here that would be very helpful too. All right, here's the poll here. All right, if you could buy your next investment property in the next 12 months, what would you want it to be? A duplex, triplex, 5 to 20 unit, 20 unit plus, or you're not sure yet? I'd like to know. See what you put in here. All right. Okay. Looks like leading the way is 5 to 20 unit apartment building. right? That is awesome. That is awesome. As you guys know, duplex, triplex, and fourplex is considered residential, right? And 5 units and greater is commercial. And that 5 unit and greater, we can raise the NOI and force appreciation. With the duplex, triplex, and fourplex, we can't. All right. So I'm glad. So we're at 45% of you have chosen 5 to 20 units. And let's see what else. And 20 plus units, around 25%. So that's great. You're in a perfect spot tonight. We're going to go over all this tonight. This is awesome. So thank you for answering those questions here. I have Albert saying shopping center. All right, Albert. Okay, awesome. All right. Okay, Tommy says 5 to 20 units. And Alonzo has owned 3 homes. All right. And looks like, yeah. Okay, great. Great. All right. So I'm going to go back here in that. Okay, great. So here's where I want to start here, right? Tonight is about scaling from one home to an apartment portfolio. Okay. And we're going to do this by looking at a ladder. This is a typical ladder that I envision for you all tonight. Look at the ladder. Step number 1 is you may have a home with equity or rental with equity, right? The next step is to buy maybe a fourplex or maybe a fiveplex, okay? And then from there, you're going to go into a 12 unit, right? And then maybe a larger multifamily. And then step number 5 is to have a whole portfolio, just like what our guest did. All right. So I'm going to share with you how all of that works, right? So here's why you want to scale. Okay, you're going to start with one rental. You want to scale because you want more income streams, right? You want to have less vacancy risk. You want more control over the value of the property. Okay, with single family, you have no control of the value, right? With multifamily 5 and greater, you have almost complete control. And then number 5 is clear path to financial freedom. Okay, maybe your most important reason to scale, however, is lifestyle. Okay, look at these 10 lifestyle benefits of scaling multifamily. So scaling the right way can lead you to these 10 things. Number 1, less financial anxiety. Number 2, more control over time. 3, the ability to walk away from a job you no longer want. 4 is more time with family. 5 is travel without guilt. 6 is a better retirement. Number 7, the confidence of owning something real. Number 8, the ability to help others. That's what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. It really isn't about you, it's about others. You helping others. Number 9, a new identity. And number 10, peace of mind. All right. Put in the chat. I want you to select one. If you can choose one out of these 10, which one is most important to you? Put your answer in the chat. Okay. Andrew says number 4, more time, just only one answer. Okay, not 2. All right, so Jason, okay, there we go. Okay, and Keith, thank you. Carla, so looks like number 2. All right, so Frank is number 6. Okay, Monique says more control over time. I can relate to that. Okay, Paul says number 8, ability to help others. Okay, Rico says number 6. Joey says peace of mind, right? And Joey, I couldn't agree with you more on that. Okay. All right. Thank you for those answers. That gives me an idea of where you are at mindset wise. Okay. Now, here's a reason why apartments scale faster. You probably know this, right? When you have a single family home, and as a rental, you have one rent check, you have one tenant, right? So when they move out, you have 100% vacancy. No one's there. When you have multifamily, you're going to scale. So a group of people move out, you're still cash flowing. That is a great benefit. But I have a question for you. Okay. What is the most significant difference between single family rentals and multifamily property? Put your answers in the chat. Okay, what do you think that is? I have an answer for you that you probably haven't thought about, but is so important to me as a coach. Okay, all right. So Andrew says no comps. Larry says cash flow. Victor says NOI. Alex says appreciation. Monique, cash flow. Let's see. Jacob says forced appreciation. Nadia says, there we go. Christopher, you can increase the value yourself. That's right. All right. Let's see. Sonia says tax advantages. All right. Here's my answer. Okay. Watch this. Pay attention to this. This is my answer. My answer is velocity of money. What a wonderful three three words, right? Velocity of money. Doesn't that sound awesome? So velocity of money is how fast your money moves. When you have a single family rental, you put in a down payment, the money sits in there, and the value may go up, or these days it may go down, right? With multifamily property, we have multiple triggers to increase cash flow. We have multiple triggers to increase the value of the property, and we can move the money a whole lot faster, put a lot more velocity on the money if we do a cash out refi, take it out. 1031 exchange, move it up, or sell it and take the lump sum and move it to the next property. So you have these three ways to have velocity on your money. This is what you want. You want velocity on your money. Okay, so the velocity of money and multifamily investing, they go hand in hand. Okay, and velocity of money plus multifamily investing equals faster financial freedom. That's what it's about. Okay, gives you choices when you have financial freedom. Okay, all right. Now these are a couple of our students who have done it. All right, we have Dave. We have a couple of multi-millionaires. We have Ken. We have motel to apartment conversion deal. You see that handsome guy in that corner there in the picture? He's going to be our guest today. So this is one of his deals, and he has others. Okay, and we have a former pilot. You probably heard that story. All right, so these are people who have done it, and if they've done it, you can do it. Later on today, I'm going to share with you how our program is what we call, it's called a done with you program, where we do it with you. Okay, and we're looking for more people to do deals with, and I'll share that with you a little later, so you can have these same results as these students. Now, here are 4 ways to put velocity on your money if you have a single family home. Okay, number 1 is a HELOC. Number 2 is a cash out refi. Number 3 is to sell and take the proceeds and deploy it to another property. And number 4 is a 1031 exchange. I'm going to briefly go over each one. Okay, now path number 1 is the HELOC. You guys kind of understand what a HELOC is, right? You have a home with equity, then you go to a lender to get a loan on it, and then you can take the money from the HELOC and buy another property. By the way, you look on the screen here, there's a YouTube video I want you to watch. It'll appear on the screen. I have 1.4 million views on this one video, how to turn your home equity into monthly cash flow. Okay, so the link will appear right on the screen. All right, and so go ahead and watch that when you get a chance. Okay. All right, Stephanie will put that link on the screen there for you. All right, okay, that's path number 1. All right, question for you. Do you currently have equity in a home or property? I want to see who out there has this, right? Do you currently have equity in a home or rental property? All right, Primo says yes. Jennifer says no. Xalis says yes. All right, Michael, yes. Kevin, yes. All right. Okay, great. Great. Okay. We'd like to know, kind of get an idea of who out there has some equity. All right. Okay. Now, Iris says I do, but does not account for 20% down. Aha, Iris, you need to learn how to do creative financing. Because creative financing, what we teach our students to do is to leverage their new knowledge by working with us and their limited resources into deals or multiple deals. This is what creative financing can do for you. Okay. So Iris, I want to challenge you with that you do have 20% down. We just have to figure out what type of deal we can do. Okay. All right. Okay. So let's get started. All right. Path number 2 is a cash out refinance. Again, most of you kind of know what this is. I'm talking about your home here. Okay. You're going to use the equity from your current property to fund the next one. And so step 1, the lender will allow cash up to 75% of the property value minus your current loan, and you can use that money to buy your next property. I have an example for you right here. Okay, here's the example. Okay, so you can really understand this. You have a current, let's say your current property value is 950, and again, the lender will loan you 75% of the 950. Okay, so they'll loan you 712,500. Okay, so 712,500 is 75% 950. Then you subtract what you currently owe. Let's say you currently owe 300,000, and then your cash out available is a 712,500 minus 300,000. That's 412,500. So you can take that money out as a cash out refi and apply it to your next deal. Okay, so all right, so that's a cash out refi. Now, I want to make sure you're using the cash out refi correctly. We're going to play this game. It's called green light, red light. Would you do this cash out refi? Property worth 950, you owe 300. You can get a loan for 712,500. You can cash out 412,500, and the property still cash flows well. Would you do this? All right. Put in the chat. Would you do this? Is green light or red light? Green light, red light. All right. Okay, great. Great. All right. Now I'm going to go the opposite direction. Okay. Look at this one here. All right. This is the green light. I'm going to go the opposite direction with this one here. You're going to pull out 275 because your next deal needs 275,000. But after you pull it out, you have no reserves, no money for reserves. Okay. Is this a green light or red light? Green or red? All right, put in the chat your answer there. Okay, Patricia, Latanya, Ryan, good answer. Russell, good answer. Diane Rose, Dion, good answer. Okay, the answer is red because you need reserves for stuff, for repairs, for vacancies, for emergencies. Okay, so again, I want to be a responsible coach and share with you what to do or what not to do. Okay, all right. Okay, here's path number 3. Path number 3 is to sell the property. Okay, if it's the home you live in, or if it's single family rental, you just sell it outright and you take the net proceeds into the next property, right? But I know what you're thinking. But Peter, what about taxes, right? I don't want to pay a bunch of taxes. And the beauty of being in our program is if you decide to do this, I'm going to think and ask and not assume that you're going to pay taxes on whatever you sell, right? I'm going to ask if there's a way we can exclude the taxes, offset them, or reduce them, okay? If it's a single family home you live in, or if it's a second home, or if it's a rental, okay? If it's a rental, we can do a 1031 exchange. But look at number 1. So if you live in it, it may be possible for you to have your capital gains taxes excluded if you lived in the home, right? Number 2, you may be able to offset this capital gains with losses if you have losses on other investments, on stocks. And number 3, you may be able to reduce it greatly. We're working with a student now on just that, right? Her high adjusted base equal to a low taxable gain. So she had, it says your taxable profit may be smaller after adding purchase price, improvements, and selling costs, right? It may be a wash after you sell it, okay? So always have your CPA estimate your after-tax proceeds before you sell. Never assume you're just going to pay taxes, okay? We don't like that. All right. Here's a question for you, okay? And this is not a trick question. All right. Yes or no, is it possible to pay zero income taxes due to commercial property ownership? All right. So go ahead and put your answers there. All right. David says yes. Eric says yes. Will says yes. Tonya says yes. All right. Okay, great. Chris says yes. Okay, great. And the answer is yes, right? So the reason I put this here is to prepare you for next week. Next week, I'm going to show you exactly how to do this and how a student is doing this right now, okay, with multiple properties, okay? He is a very smart and intelligent financial person, and he decided to hire us. You know, his strategy was to buy commercial real estate and not pay taxes. I'm going to share with you his strategy. It's awesome. Okay. All right. Okay. So here's path number 4, 1031 exchange for beginners. Okay. This is what our guest Jordan did on his properties. He bought a single family home. He had a profit there, and then he sold it, and then he did a 1031 exchange so he would not have to pay capital gains taxes on the sale. He could defer those taxes, and in the meanwhile, take those profits into a larger property, and I'll show you exactly how he did that. Okay. And by the way, I have a video just on that. Okay. It's called From Single Family to Multifamily with a 1031 Exchange. That will appear in the chat. Okay. That link, so you can go ahead and watch it. Okay. All right. Okay. Now, here are the top 3 scaling do's. Okay. Number 1 is to scale one step at a time. Move from single family to small multifamily is my preference. And then you can do larger deals once you get a little more practice. Okay. Number 2, protect your cash reserves. This is one of the main reasons why new investors fail, because they don't put enough money on the side. Okay. So when you're scaling, you need to have money on the side to protect yourself for repairs, for vacancies, and other things. And number 3 is what people never talk about. This is knowing your exit strategy or strategies. So before you buy, you need to know how you could sell, how you could refinance, if you want to hold it, okay, what your exit is. All that has to be thought out before you buy the property. Okay, and we help our students do that. Okay, that's what smart investors do. Now, here are top 3 scaling don'ts. Number 1 is don't pull out all your equity just because you can. Save a little cushion. Okay. Number 2, don't buy bigger before you understand the numbers. That's where coaching comes into play. Okay. We have students buy deals and go, Peter, I'm ready for the second one. I go, no, you're not. We're going to get this one. We're going to get this one systematized and working well before you go to the next one. Okay. And number 3, don't scale without a team. Okay. If anyone out there, if you're older than 40, you can't afford to make a mistake. Okay, so if you have an experienced team, you have myself as your mentor, my team, you have a lender, property manager, CPA, attorney, all that comes together to help you make the best decisions moving forward. Don't try to do it yourself. You don't have to. Okay. All right. Said a mouthful there. Now, who's ready to see scaling multifamily in action? All right. So put it in the chat. All right, who's ready for that? Let me know. All right, Andrew said, let's do it. Patricia said, let's go. All right, so I'm going to introduce this fellow here. His name is Jordan. As I mentioned to him, he started from a $430,000 single family rental. Okay, and he went from that to recently buying a $5 million multifamily property. Okay, and right now his portfolio is around $9 or $10 million. And it all started with this $430,000 single family rental. Okay, so I'm going to share you his story. Now, before I invite Jordan on, here's his scaling ladder. Okay, look at his ladder. He bought this single family home for $435,000, and then he sold it and did a 1031 exchange into this 22 unit here. It was a motel that he converted it into an apartment building. Okay. In the back side of the property is a 20-pad RV park that we're going to talk about. And then Jordan bought an 8-unit. He did a wonderful job of renovating it. He raised the rents and he forced appreciation, and he used those funds to 1031 exchange into this beautiful 28-unit property here. All right. So without further ado, I want to welcome Jordan to the show. Let me know when you're there, Jordan. Jordan should be right with us. Are you there, Jordan? Hello, hello, hello.
Yeah, I'm here, Peter.
All right.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Jordan. How you doing?
Can you see me?
Yep, let's
Okay,
see.
okay, great.
Okay,
All
okay.
right. Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem. No
Technical
problem at
error
all.
there.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Nice,
All right.
nice to see you.
Yeah, Jordan, thanks for joining us. And So you are the theme of the show. Everything I've talked about for the last 25 minutes, you have done, right? So now it's a chance to share with the audience, how you scaled. And where I want to start is right here, Jordan. I want to start with your 22 unit to motel to apartment conversion. Such an interesting story.
Yep.
Long story short, ladies and gentlemen, Jordan bought this 22 unit motel, okay, for 1.35 million. Today is worth close to $4 million, right? And we're going to talk about the conversion and how now is worth $4 million. So Jordan, so let's start here. Let's start here. How did you find this property, first of all? It was purchased off market, right?
It was. Yep. It
Yeah,
was.
and yeah, it was purchased off market, and you met this wonderful seller,
Yep.
right?
Jeanette. Yes. Nice lady. Well, Peter, I don't want to give away all of our secret sauce, but she called me, and we had a conversation, and it was a little bit odd. I will tell you, I was talking to her, and she was describing to me running this motel property, and she more or less just said, I'm getting old. Even my kids that are working at the property are getting old. And that's when I was like, whoa, this is interesting. And so long story short is I met her maybe a week later, set up a date, went and looked at the property. I was honestly a little skeptical, to be honest with you. You look at the pictures, it doesn't look necessarily like a really desirable situation, but coincidentally, obviously we get an opportunity, we're going to run it through our due diligence process. The numbers worked, and we knew that early on as we looked at it. And I think so, we would jump on our coaching, our calls together, Peter and others that, Bruce, that I also work closely with, great guy, another coach. And really what we do is we look at a deal. And so almost from the jump, we knew that if you can buy the property at a good price, the numbers work because it was 22 units.
Mhm.
So, um, I think that's kind of what happened in the background there, Peter. What other next question you have for
All
me?
right. Well, this deal was seller finance,
Yeah.
Jordan, and we love seller finance deals. It allows you to leverage yourself into this deal, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
yeah, and we have a saying in our company that the best deals, the greatest deals, are not just found; they are created, right?
Yeah.
And you
Yep.
created this. So, because of your wonderful relationship with this seller, talk to us about how the seller financing worked out, which I thought was fabulous.
Okay. So we were actually taking it through kind of a formal process for funding with a lender. And you can see the condition of the building, and it's an older property. Let's just be honest here. The county or the city where this property is located was requiring us to put a sprinkler system right through the middle of the building.
Hmm.
And in doing so, I went back to the seller after this requirement was, presented to me, and I said, "Hey, Jeanette, I'm going to have to choke down this big expense here. We need to renegotiate the deal essentially, and I need you to reduce the price because I have, a 150, $160,000 expense here." Long story short, Peter, is we agreed to basically just a seller credit is what we did.
Hmm.
And then at the very kind of, I'll call it maybe 3 or 4 days before closing, you're presented all the kind of final documents from your lender and the whole thing. Well, the lender sees this credit essentially on the settlement statement, and she kind of, dug in her heels on this, like, hey, what is this credit? And I think at the time she presumed it as maybe like some type of seller kickback or something, and it really wasn't. But she kind of was hemming and hawing about that whole thing, and really kind of almost saying, "Hey, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. Like, if you should have told me about this thing." And at the time, I go back to Jeanette, the seller, and I said, "Hey, Jeanette, we're dealing with this situation. This is what's happening." And right away, she goes, "You know what?" She goes, "Let's just remove them out of the equation. Why don't I just hold the paper, carry the note?" If essentially, she was an older lady, so she was very accustomed to that kind of financing.
Hmm.
So, in fact, for sure, like the older generation, a lot of them were able to acquire properties this way. So she
Yeah.
was like, when I presented it to her, essentially with your help, Peter, she didn't even bat an eye at it, actually.
Yeah.
And
So Jordan, what were the
yeah,
terms? What were the terms?
well, she it's a 5-year balloon note, and she gave me essentially, believe it or not, extremely low interest rate, which at the time, interest rates were starting to inch up. Even
Mhm.
at that time, going on 5 years ago now, or 4 years ago, um, she gave me really good terms. If yes, so essentially, almost my entire payment's going to principal reduction, which has been huge.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
awesome. And everyone, what Jordan means is when Jordan makes a seller financing payment,
yep,
usually it's interest only, but this time most of the payment amount is going towards a principal. So
yeah,
over 5 years, just by making the payments, his principal loan balance is going to drop way down, and his equity is going to shoot straight up, right?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, it has, Peter. Yes.
Yep. Yep.
So I know we're kind of conversational here, but I'm getting ready to do what will be a large renovation to this building. I'm going to be adding 6 additional units at the building, giving the whole building a facelift. So you see that old tile roof there, new roof, new metal roof there,
Hmm.
paint job. All of the buildings have been completely, or excuse me, all the units have been completely updated. So that's been, was done early on. Um, New landscaping, going to put a brand new asphalt parking lot there at the property between this building and the building next door that we also own there,
Yep.
which we call the annex.
That's right.
Um,
Hey, Jordan,
yeah,
Albert has a great question.
yeah.
Albert says balloon payment and getting out of it takes a game plan. So Albert is referring to an extra strategy on this one. So what's your extra strategy?
Well, my exit strategy. So, in the next couple months, I'm going to be beginning this renovation, which at that time will trigger basically. I'm going to be basically removing Jeanette and her as a lender out of the deal. I'll have a construction loan in place for probably 7 to 8 months, and then at that time, the NOI that this property will be producing against the cap rate will put it right around a $4 million valuation
Yeah.
conservatively.
Awesome. Awesome.
And then we'll be able to borrow against that, 4 million valuation. And then Peter, I believe it or not, I think even the relationship, this is the first property I took down, and upon one liquidity event, meaning, a commercial refinance, Peter, commercial property advisors, based upon the relationship we have together, you'll be basically made whole on just even one transaction that we're doing here.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. I have a question here from Monique is asking, are there
Mhm.
studios or did you convert the rooms to one bedrooms? And Jordan, what I want to do is go to this
Yeah.
next slide here
Yeah.
and walk us through very simply what the conversion consists of.
Okay. Well, the conversion consists of a lot like what I just mentioned. By the way, that middle picture there on the bottom, that's the annex building. That's a 6 unit building just next door to the main picture you see up above.
Hmm.
And we consider this all the same property in terms
Yep.
of the way we operate it. But to answer your question, Monique, the building that you see up above, what it is essentially there's all of these individual units that have a small kitchen, a single bedroom, and a living room is what we have there.
Mm.
And then there the very end 6 units that you can't see to the right of the top picture there as the building kind of goes down further. There's the 6 end units very much were like hotel rooms, so they didn't have kitchenettes. They didn't have a standalone bedroom. What we did is we put those units. We basically put a door between the neighboring unit, so we went from 6 units to 3 units at the end of the building.
Got it.
So part of the renovation, Peter, to answer your question, is we're going to take those 3 units and we're going to turn them back into 6 units by adding a 22 feet of an addition off the back by the width of the unit, adding a big bathroom and a big bedroom and turning them into very nice units.
Okay. So
Yep.
Jordan, you will end up with how many units at the end?
28 units.
28 units total. Okay,
And then
great.
in addition to the three additional that I'm adding, so on the end of the building there, from the 3 to the 6, I'm
Mhm.
adding, there's two garage spaces that are just sitting vacant as can be. I'm working with an architectural and an engineering firm that's designing out 3 more units in those garage spaces.
That's awesome.
Yep.
This is awesome. Chad is asking, where did the money come to renovate? So can you talk about how you structured the financing? How'd you
Yeah.
get the down payment?
Yep. So when I bought this building about 4 years ago, I had a single family rental that I owned, which I sold as part of a 1031 exchange as basically, my own money in the deal. And then I actually, Peter, with your help, I went out and raised at that time $500,000
Hmm.
in debt. So if it wasn't equity, it was debt. So basically, other lenders that were getting a return in the deal, as essentially private lenders. And then when the building will refinance here upon construction or the renovation project, they're going to receive all of their money back with an additional return, and they're going to be very happy.
Yeah. Okay,
Yep.
got it. Now, some folks here may be wondering, Jordan, what do you mean by the $500,000 was raised as debt
Okay.
versus equity? So what is that? How can you break that down for us?
Yeah, so debt is truly like they're acting as a lender in the deal, getting an interest rate on their money, and their position as a lender is lien. So if let's say I got hit by a truck or a train or whatever that term is, or I think it's get hit by a bus. Um, but anyhow, if they're essentially their position in the deal in the property is they're a lender. So if
Yep.
upon that they will get their money back as a lender in the deal.
Okay.
So their debt. Um, so their debt, and then equity would be on the other frame. Other side is they would actually be owners with me in the building. And
Yep.
I didn't go down that track with this property because it's fairly small, as you can see, and the numbers aren't huge. So Peter, when we were early on talking about this, he said, I think on a property this size, and the 135 purchase price, he's like, you need to just keep this all on your own, and that was
Yeah.
your advice. And I was
Yeah.
actually able to go out and raise capital pretty easily, to be honest with you.
Yeah. With numbers like with a deal like this, that's for
Yeah,
sure. I have
yeah.
another question from Jana.
Mhm.
She's asking, the difference between a construction loan or seller finance loan. So Jana, is
Yep,
better the way Jordan did it because with a construction loan, there's a whole bank involved, right? And with this with Jordan's private money investors, he makes up the terms.
yep,
Okay, so it's a whole lot easier. Okay,
yep.
and okay, now which leads me to this wonderful thing that
Yeah,
that's added to this property. So in the front, and the bottom of the picture, you can see Highway 101. Then you can see the apartments, and up top, there's a
yeah,
plot of land that's empty today, but Jordan has
yep,
a vision to add a 20 pad RV site there called Horizon RV Park. And
yep,
at the beginning, Jordan had this whole deal tied up, and then in the middle, he switched it to having two contracts, right? One for the
hmm.
property for the apartments, and the second one for the just the land. And Jordan, how much did you pay for the land?
Well, what was so funny, Peter, is we started getting into the weeds of the deal, right? We knew we had a fish on, if you will, working with Jeanette. Well, come to find out, there's this half-acre empty lot in the back that was separate parcel, the whole thing. And so when we started negotiating with her, I said, "Hey, by the way, Peter, you gave me this advice. You said try to keep that land separate, so unencumbered by the loan that she's giving you." So I went to Jeanette and I kind of told her what I was wanting to do, and she right on the spot, she goes, "Well, we need to put some type of dollar amount if you want to do this, we need to put something on there." And she was like, "How about $100?" Because she was still getting her money, but she was able to separate the lot, meaning completely separate parcel, and the county doesn't even recognize it as having a loan on it, if
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah. So
Yep.
it's free and clear land,
Yep.
making it easier to get a loan on it. And and this loan is also, I mean, this construction is also financed by one of your private money lenders. Is that right?
Yes. Yes. Correct.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay. Great. Great. And Jordan, once this 20 RV pad project is done,
Mhm.
what would this RV park be worth?
Well, it looks like so at 20 pads, if you run it through, software that, looks at a deal, it'll be worth about, according to the software, about 1.4 million at a 7.5 cap.
There you go. There
Yeah.
you go. Okay.
Yep.
And there's a question about this drawing here, I think from Michael.
Yeah.
And Michael, don't worry about the entry and the easements on that. I created this rendering. Jordan
Yeah.
didn't. Jordan has his own rendering.
In,
Okay, so
in fact,
it's
Peter,
gonna look different than that one here. So I just want to make sure you don't get hung up with that, Michael. Okay.
yeah, Peter, if in fact, to that point, that bottom middle photo there, that's kind of whited out, that
Mhm.
actually is from the engineering company that's putting this together for me.
Okay, yeah, right there. All right.
Yep.
Okay. So
Yep.
Michael, look to the middle bottom. All right. And you can see the slots there. All right.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Awesome.
Mhm.
What a find. What a find.
You know what
Okay.
was funny, Peter, is honestly, I've as I'm now pursuing this and getting this going, I didn't have it on my bingo card to ever think I was going to own an RV park. I just didn't have it on my bingo card. But I tell you, where this property sits, it's right by a big national park.
Yeah.
And it gets a ton of just people that are coming in and out. So winter will be more like long-term stays, and then summer we'll move it to like more transient, nightly type stuff.
Yep. And imagine everyone out there, $100 to buy this land
Yeah.
and private money investors funding the construction and having it worth $1.4 million, right? So these type of things only happen when you take action. Okay, so the three fears that I talked about today, Jordan has overcome them with our help, and voila,
Mm.
here you go. So it only
Yeah.
happens when you take action. Okay, all right. Okay, now I want to talk about something equally as exciting. So Jordan, you bought this 8-unit property, right? And
Yeah.
then you did some light renovation, you increased the rents, and then you scaled it into this 28-unit property, right?
Yes.
So you did a 1031 exchange, and then here are the results, right? So you bought it for $3.8 million, is worth $5 million.
Hmm.
And it says here in point number 3, you had a 5-year pro forma that you
Yep.
worked with Julia on, one of our coaches, and
Yep.
you achieved that in about 18 months. So walk us through what was that pro forma? What did you do in those 18 months to make it go from 3.85 to 5 towards $5 million?
Yep. Yep. So, Peter, for those of you that are on the call, a pro forma essentially is a financial model, is what it is. So, my lender, I was working with the traditional Fannie Mae lender on this, and they wanted a 5-year pro forma. So, year one is basically you take over as the new owner, and your rents are going to be your rents more or less.
Hmm.
When you take when you take it over as a brand new owner, what they are today is what they're going to be, the day you own it. And then so year one is where it was, and then year two you're going to increase them a little bit. Year three, year four, year five. Well, what was interesting about this building is the existing owner. There was two sisters that inherited this from their dad had passed away. I think they were
Mm,
about my age, by the way.
mm,
Anyways, long story short is as we started digging into the numbers, you looked at this gigantic, what was it? It was sewer and water expense to the tune of about $48,000 that the owner was choking down as an expense to her as the lender or her as the owner. And and it was like, okay, well, you might have this expense, but you have, 28 doors here. Wouldn't you want to have the people living there pay for their own water and sewer and garbage? And so with that one change, by adding $150 water, sewer, garbage fee to the monthly collections in addition to the rent, was able to basically take NOI much higher than 385 that very first year. And then in only 18 months of owning it now, we've had no problem at renewals taking all of the rents up from like 1250 to up to 1450, which is market.
Yeah.
And we're
That's
actually taking them up even higher now. My manager, property manager there, he just at renewal, he just inches them up, and it's literally, I mean, to the market based upon where the property sits.
yeah. That's awesome. Hey,
Yep.
Jordan, you share with me this interesting story. So you would send it to our lender. Our lender goes,
Yeah.
"Wow, this is a very good deal," right? And they
Yeah.
usually don't say that.
Well, I was working with this underwriter. He was actually out of New York, and the lender, Arbor was a lender. Anyways, so this guy William, I'm talking to this guy. He goes, I'm looking at this deal. He's like, this is really, really good. And he's like,
Yeah.
I see a lot of deals, and he goes, this is great. Like, how'd you find this? He was asking me this. And I just go, whatever I told him. But when I heard him say that and the kind of the conversation we were having, I knew I had a good one here. And this
Yeah.
property, since I've been the owner, has been a dream to own.
Awesome.
It's been really good.
Awesome. Here's a quick
Yep.
question for our Raul. Raul is asking, please remind us what RUBS stands for. And
Yep.
yeah, go ahead and share that, Jordan.
Oh, I'm sorry. Peter, this is your show, not mine. But yeah, you taught me RUBS stands for ratio utility billing. Is that right?
Yep, yep,
Yeah.
yep. And this is where you can take the utility costs of the property that their landlord's paying. You can parcel it off and send it back to the tenant. And when you do that, Raul, your cash flow goes up, your NOI goes up, and the
Yeah.
property value goes up. And this was a large part, cause of Jordan's property appreciation. All right.
Yeah.
So remember with that word, everyone, rubs. Okay.
Yep.
So, all right. Now, Jordan, let's see here. You raised $1 million for this property of private money, right?
Yep.
And so I'm surprised no one asked that question, but I will. Yeah, okay, there you go. So Ken's asking, was that syndicated? And yes, Ken, it was syndicated. And I want to go to something that pride and joy of Jordan, and that is your new parking lot, Jordan. Look at that beauty. Look at that beauty.
Yep.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, Jordan, share with us, this is not a cheap parking lot. Share with us, how does it work when you get a loan like this? Where does the money come from for the parking lot?
Well, so this lender, you're basically working with a government, funded lender. So they've got all this cross your I's, dot your T's type stuff. So they get their own appraisal and inspection, the whole thing on top of the one I had, essentially. But they said, oh, the driveway's got a few cracks in it, even though it was in still pretty good shape. But they identified, hey, we're gonna do a holdback at closing, and you need to repair these 6 items, but we're going to
Mm,
hold the money in reserve. And then you're going to go out and get it done and then provide us a paid invoice as well as photos to show us the work's been done. And then we'll release the money to you.
mm.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Got it. Okay. Okay. Great. All right. Question here. This is from Arshad. How do you go from 8 to 28 conversion? So Rashad, this is not a conversion. So
Yeah.
what Jordan did was Jordan bought this 8-unit property. Then he
And,
sold it and used those profits to buy the 28 unit. So it's not a
and, and,
conversion. This is
and
a
Peter,
straightforward buy.
I'm sorry, I keep
Go ahead.
interrupting. I hate to say this, but it wasn't 8 units, it was 6.
Oh, 6 units. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Even
you see
better.
a lot of properties. I know you see a lot of properties.
Yeah. Even
So,
better. Even better.
yeah, and coincidentally, so by the way, I've since moved out of state from where I was operating this business. Excuse me, 6 unit building is in a little town in Montana,
Mm,
where I live now, and it's in a little place. But again, I ended up talking to this lady. She was motivated to sell it, but believe it or not, there used to be an old church that was converted to
mm,
six
mm.
units by somebody. And I did essentially at a lease, at a unit turn. I go in there and I, carpets, turn it
Yep.
to, plank flooring, paint the units, change out what you need to change out. But within about 18 months, maybe 2 years of ownership, um, I was able to, this other opportunity, what's called Borders Edge, was presented itself. So I quickly decided to sell the 6 unit there in Montana to fund my part of the acquisition for 28 unit
Okay,
kind of
great.
percentage. Yep.
Great. An is asking, how do you identify these properties? So these properties are off market, and that's what we teach at our company. We rarely use a real estate agent. We never use LoopNet or Crexi. We like to do off-market deals. So we go direct to the seller. Jordan mentioned that the seller called him. So that's
Mhm.
amazing. The seller calls you. And that's what we teach. So it's kind of proprietary to us, and that's what we've become experts at. All right. Um, Jordan, some questions on how did you structure the $1 million raise? Could you quickly talk about that?
Well, um, again, I have found raising money is not that difficult.
Hmm.
It's like I've learned that people with money like to put it where they make money. And so,
Yep.
they don't like to just keep it idle in a checking account earning no interest. So, um, but essentially what I did with this, Peter, is I have two equity partners, meaning they're owners with me, and the rest of it's debt, meaning they're getting paid to return on their money, and then at refinance they're going to get paid all of their money back with a bonus, and they're going to be actually
Yep.
earning about 12% annually if you combine
Yep.
the interest rates there.
Yep. Okay. Great. Great. So I want to go back to this slide here
Yep.
and leave this one right here. This is Jordan's. Now that you understand, we went through the deals. This is Jordan's scaling ladder. So, Jordan, now that you've scaled into these multifamily properties, how has your lifestyle changed, right? In terms of your time, choices, and family. How has that changed?
Well, that's a good question, Peter. I think I just mentioned a few minutes ago. I have two high school kids, and believe it or not, I have a 22-month-old little baby girl. But we decided to move out of state where we were, kind of out of the hustle and bustle, and we moved over to a beautiful spot over in Montana, where we live now. So I would say for sure, I was able to step away from my. I was in the commercial insurance business prior to real estate,
Hmm.
but today between the commercial properties, it by and large pays for all of my family's expenses. Believe it or not, it's incredible.
There you go.
So
There you go.
I'm full-time in real estate. I skied, 27 days last year. I live very nearby a ski mountain, and I can be up there in, 12 minutes.
Yeah, that's
Um,
awesome.
and,
That's
and
awesome.
and so I mean, it's provided incredible freedom, flexibility. My wife obviously is a stay-at-home mom with our little baby girl. It's a blessing. And it's not to say it hasn't been work. I mean, there's still times where I have to go back and visit these properties and go meet opportunities, and you're gonna kind of kind of go into work mode, but at the same time, like, I don't have a boss.
Yeah,
And and,
yeah.
and Peter, I mean, with I call commercial property advisors CPA, but with
Hmm.
CPA's help, what really has been helpful for me is when I get an opportunity, I can jump on the phone, and Peter will talk with you. I'll speak with Bruce, another coach that I really enjoy. Bruce, he's a wonderful guy. But we'll basically kick these deals around. By the time you feel like you've got a good deal here and the opportunity presents itself, you go in with confidence.
Yep.
And that's what really the program has allowed for me, because I scaled from what I was basically flipping houses for a number of years and having fun doing it. But I realized, like, you make money once and then you got to just do it again and then do it again.
Yep.
So it's not like I'm not doing any of that ever. I still will do a little bit of that, but now by and large, most of my costs, to run my life and my family is basically paid for through these properties. So a lot of the stress has been relieved big time.
That's awesome. So, Jordan, would you say that our mentoring program is a done with you
Yes,
mentoring program?
100%. Yes.
Mm, mm.
Yep.
And our goal is for you to make $500,000, and we're with you the whole time in this process. Is that a correct statement?
Very much so. You are there as close as I want it to be. and essentially a coaching availability call every day, which you're going to jump on and be able to talk mano a mano about a deal and look at the same screen at the same time with the software that you run.
Mhm.
So as you're doing due diligence, you can tweak around your numbers a little bit. Say, oh, okay, where are you going to be next year with this? And
Yep.
then you can see it and can talk about it and feel confident about what you're looking at. That was
Yes.
what was funny about that 22 unit building is, Peter, I mean, it's not much to look at, but once we ran like 22 units through basically a pro forma, we're
Yeah.
like, whoa, this
Yeah.
this actually looks
Yeah.
really good. I
Mhm.
mean, that deal right now kicks off about $5,000 a month cash flow right
Yeah.
now. That
Yeah.
little building on 22
Yeah.
units. It's
Before it's even
crazy.
finished. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's
All right.
crazy.
So hold that thought, everyone, because what I want to do here is I want to, if those of you that are interested in wanting to learn exactly what Jordan did, we have an opportunity for you, right? And so if you want to learn more about what we do, here's a poll here. Who would like to learn more about getting mentored by me and my team, right? You can go ahead and click yes. Uh, and then you can click yes, but I have some questions, right? And Jordan, I think after we're done with this 22 unit, you would have made $500,000. Is that right?
Well, I mentioned this earlier, Peter, but when I go and secure, yes, so upon a commercial refinance, your CPAU, your company will basically be exit staging left, and then. But by the way, I still have your phone number, so we're still going to be talking if I ever have things to look at.
All
Yeah,
right. And
I'm kind of
and
having fun there, but
so
but
in so in Jordan,
yeah,
and from 2022-ish is, mid 2022 when you got
yeah.
this started until now, $500,000, right? I don't know where else you can make that, right? And so you've been an awesome student. So what I want to do next, if there's anyone else that wants to maybe speak with someone tonight about what we do and how we help Jordan, and how we can, so you can understand what our done with you program looks like, right? Where we work with you the entire way until you make $500,000, right? So whoever wants to be like Jordan, right? Be like Jordan, and we want to learn about something, learn about our program tonight, and speak to someone tonight. Go ahead and click now, and we reach out to you, right? So who wants to speak with someone tonight? It's available for you, or you can schedule for later, right? And we'll contact you later. All right, okay. So what I want to do also is give everyone a chance to take a look at this as well. All right, let me do this here. I'm going to end the poll right there for a second. And then I'm going to go to this screen. Give me a second, everyone. All right, I'm going to go to this screen right here. And I'm going to share this. All right, there we go. All right, so I also want to share this screen with you. You see the screen, Jordan?
Yes.
Learn more about doing deals with Peter. So basically, you go down to your state, you select, let's select California, schedule my call, right? And then it's going to think about it for a second. Then you can choose,
Mhm.
tomorrow, and then it gives you time. Okay, the times you can select, and then let's say I select 5 p.m. and you click next, and you can put in your name, your email, your phone, and you just click schedule event, and then voila, you're in our system, and someone will reach out to you. So it's that simple. All right. So before we go here, I want to share one other thing here with us. I want to share. Whoops, where am I here? I want to share the poll one more time, right? I'm going to relaunch this one here. All right, and it is this right here. Again, one last chance. If anyone out there wants to speak with someone tonight, right? We have people standing by, and they are super awesome, wonderful people, no pressure, speak with them. And as you mentioned, Jordan loves our coaches, and the people on the front end are just like our coaches. They're just awesome people.
Yep.
Go ahead and click now, and we'll reach out to you tonight. And or if you want to do it tomorrow, you can click schedule for later, and then we'll reach out to you. All right. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. I'm going to end the poll there. All right. And everyone out there, do me a favor. Give Jordan some love. Tell Jordan thank you. What a fantastic job he's done. Put it in the chat, please, because we want him back once his renovations are done. And he's gone from $9 million to $20 million in properties, right? We want to invite him back for that because he is well on his way. Can you imagine $430,000 to $9 million in 4 years, right? The next 5 years, he's probably going to be over $20 million, right? Easy, easy. So, yeah. So Jordan, look at the love there. So they appreciate
Yeah.
you. And
Thank you guys. Thank you, Peter.
yep, you're welcome. You're welcome. All right, everyone, what we're going to do is we're going to segue into another video and I want you to watch some of our other students. Okay, so we're going to segue to that now. And thank you very much, everyone. And Jordan, thank you so much. I release you back to your family.
All right. Thanks, Peter.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, guys.